Most writers think editing while they write makes their first draft better. It usually does the opposite. It quietly prevents the draft from ever existing. If you have ever started a chapter, written 3 sentences, then spent 10 minutes adjusting a word, deleting a line, rereading the previous paragraph, and suddenly the writing session is over, this video will probably feel uncomfortably familiar. Because what I want to show you today is something simple but important. Editing while you write is not a quality problem, it's a cognitive problem. And once you see that clearly, the way you approach a first draft changes completely. Hi, I am Andrea, the founder of bibisco, the novel writing software downloaded by more than 200,000 writers around the world. And today I want to talk about something that quietly slows down thousands of novels before they even exist. Perfectionism during the first draft. Not the dramatic kind, the subtle one. The one that feels responsible, careful, professional. That kind that whispers, if I just fix this sentence now, the book will be better later. Writing a novel is not a single action, it is 2 completely different mental activities happening at different moments, creating the story and evaluating the story. And when you mix those 2 activities at the same time, something strange happens. The brain starts switching roles constantly. Writer, editor, writer, editor, writer, editor. At first, this feels harmless, but cognitively is extremely expensive, because every time you stop to adjust a phrase or polish a paragraph, you are not simply improving the text, you are leaving the narrative, you are stepping outside the story, you are looking at it from above. And the moment you do that, the mental state required to continue the scene disappears. Think about what it actually feels like when you are writing well. You are inside the moment, you are not thinking about commas, you are seeing the room, you are hearing the dialogue, you are following the emotional movement of the scene. The moment you start editing, that state collapses. You shift from experiences the story to inspecting it, and the return journey back into the story is not immediate. It takes time, sometimes several minutes, sometimes longer. Now imagine doing that 20 times in a single session. That is the first hidden trap of perfectionism. Constant context switching, but something more subtle happens after that. When writers interrupt themselves to fix the text, they slowly lose something far more important than momentum. They lose orientation. A novel is not built sentence by sentence. It is built movement by movement. A scene moves towards something. A chapter moves towards something. The story itself moves towards something. But when you repeatedly stop to correct small details, the brain gradually forgets where the scene was going. The attention shrinks. Instead of asking what needs to happen in this scene, the mind starts asking, is this sentence good enough? And that shift is small but destructive, because sentences do not carry novels. Movement does. When writers stay inside the forward motion of a scene, imperfect sentences are not a problem, they are simply temporary. But when attention moves from narrative movement to sentence quality, progress slows dramatically. And the irony is that the writer believes they are improving the work, while in reality they are interrupting the process that produces the work. There is also a third effect that appears after a while, and this one is emotional. Small corrections create small doubts. You change a word, then another, and suddenly the brain starts asking a different question. Is this actually good? Now the writing session is no longer about continuing the story. It becomes a constant evaluation, micro-judgment, micro-doubt, and once the brain enters that loop, writing becomes heavier, slower, more fragile. The writer feels tension in every paragraph, not because the story is difficult, but because the mind is evaluating every step before the step is even taken. This is what many writers call perfectionism, but in practice it is not really perfectionism, it is simply the brain trying to perform 2 incompatible tasks at the same time. Creation requires forward movement, evaluation requires stopping. When those 2 processes overlap, neither works well. If this way of looking at it is resonating with you, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps more writers find these conversations. Now, something interesting happens when writers separate writing from editing, when they allow writing session to be purely about continuation, not correction, not judgment, just continuation. The first draft starts behaving differently, scenes appear faster, connections between chapters remain clearer, and most importantly, the writer stays oriented inside the story. Something that helps here is not trying to resolve every imperfection immediately. When a problem appears, a missing detail, a line that feels wrong, a piece of dialogue that needs improvement, many writers believe they must solve it immediately. But that assumption is rarely true. Often the only thing needed in that moment is a simple marker, a small signal left inside the text that says something here will need attention later. Then the writing continues. This small mental permission changes everything, because instead of stopping the narrative movement to solve a small problem, the writer simply acknowledges it and keeps moving. The scene continues, the chapter continues, the draft continues. Later, during revision, those markers become guideposts, places where the editor mind can return calmly with full attention without interrupting the story while it is being born. And this is also where tools designed specifically for novel writing like Bibisco can make this separation easier. For example, many writers using Bibisco leave small comments inside the text while drafting, not to fix the problem immediately, but to acknowledge it and keep writing. At the scene level, they can also attach simple badges like to do, done, or not yet complete. Small signals that remind the writer which parts of the story still need attention. And later, when the draft exists and the mind shifts into editing mode, Bibisco includes a native system for reviewing scenes and switching between revisions. So instead of interrupting the creative flow while writing, the writer can return later with a different mindset and revise each scene calmly and intentionally. The important shift here is psychological. The first draft is not the place where sentences become perfect. It is the place where the story becomes visible. Before the draft exists, editing is mostly guesswork. After the draft exists, editing becomes meaningful. Many writers reverse this order. They try to perfect something that does not yet exist. And that is why the first draft can take months longer than necessary. Not because the writer is slow, but because the brain is constantly interrupting itself. Once you see this clearly, the goal of a first draft becomes simpler. It is not elegance, it is not precision, it is continuity. The story moving forward without interruption. The moment that continuity exists, the novel begins to take shape. And once the novel exists, revision becomes powerful instead of paralyzing. This is the quiet shift many writers experienced after finishing their first full manuscript. They suddenly realize something surprising. The real improvement of the book did not happen while writing the first draft. It happened after the draft existed. That is why the first draft does not need perfection. It needs existence. And Bibisco was built around this idea. Writing and revising are different mental spaces. They deserve different moments. If you want a writing space designed around this way of thinking, you can try Bibisco using the link in the description. And in the meantime, remember this: a first draft does not need to be good. It needs to move.